Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang channel. Thanks for joining me once again. Today, I am going to unbox and take a first look at the Pathfinder Beginner Box Secrets of the Unlit Star from Paizo Inc. This is available in stores right now, and the box set does carry an MSRP of $49.99. Having said all that, let's swing on over to the other camera because here I've got the Pathfinder Beginner Box Secrets of the Unlit Star. Few things to mention before we get stuck in. First of all, the fine folks over at Paizo Inc. were kind enough to provide me with this review copy, but neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the Gaming Gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this first look with you. It's important you know that. We're also not going to look at each and every page of the booklets in here. I'm not going to take a peek at every single item, every character sheet, and so forth. But I do want to give you a really good feel for what you're going to find inside this beginner box. And then, of course, there is a starting adventure in here. So if you're a player and your game master has picked this up, maybe they just haven't started running it yet, maybe they're talking about picking this up. Please keep in mind, even though I have not taken a look at the contents within, there are going to be some spoilers, obviously, as we're flipping on through the adventure booklet. So keep that in mind. All right, so let's get the shrink wrap off of this. Then we'll take a quick peek at the back of the box. I'm not going to read everything, but I will read this portion up here. Become a hero. Leave the ordinary behind and take your first step into a world of amazing fantasy adventure with Pathfinder Beginner Box Secrets of the Unlit Star. This box contains everything you need to learn how to play the Pathfinder role-playing game, including rules to create your own fantasy hero and tools to tell your own incredible stories. Will you be a mighty barbarian cutting down your foes in a furious rage, or a nimble monk darting in and out of the fray with precise martial art strikes? Maybe you'll choose a bard's music, soothing and supporting your party, or channel the ancient magic of your bloodline as a powerful sorcerer. It's all up to you. This box set is the perfect introduction to the world of Pathfinder, containing countless hours of thrilling adventure. I will mention that Sammy has reviewed this beginner box. Now, she reviewed the PDF, and she really enjoyed the contents of the beginner box PDFs. It's just the way the PDFs were put together she had an issue with as far as her review. By all means, check out her written review over on thegaminggang.com. But because this is a beginner box, a starter set, I did want to share a video first look so you can see what's in this, because once again, Sammy had a chance to review just the PDF. So just like the original beginner box, we're going to get a set of dice that are going to be color-coded. We have some stands for our pawns. Nice. We've got read this first. I'm going to move the box out of the way. So it's going to tell us if you're on your own. Oh, there's a solo adventure in here. In the Hero's Handbook, House of the Haunting Hymn. So if you have a group and you want to start right away, we've got the pre-gens. You want to make your own character if you want to be the game master. It's going to tell us what's inside here. So we got a couple of booklets, our dice, 124 pawns. Nice. And 4 sets of action tokens. Our bases, our pre-gens, our blanks, and double-sided flip mat. So quite a bit packed in here for $49.99. Oh, I missed the reference cards because that's the first thing in the box. I was like, I just was reaching in the box. I'm like, wait a second, I didn't see these. So how many of these do we have? We have 6. Nice. So it's going to give us a breakdown of what you can do. So we've got our checks. So roll a d20 plus your stat bonus or penalty, difficulty classes, what you can do on your turn. So you can drop, prone, interact, leap, seek, stand, step, stride, strike. So, of course, those are actions that anyone can take. We've got some conditions here as well. And I think all of these are identical. Yes. And nice cardstock. So those will hold up very, very nicely. Next up, we've got our pre-gens. So we've got Lem the Bard. So very similar to the original beginner box, we have the breakdown of, okay, so if you want to do this, this is the sort of character you're going to play. So you'll play a bard if you want to talk your way out of sticky situations, weave together music and magic, empower your allies through powerful performances. Then we get a little bio about Lem, some advice for playing that character class. And then we get the character sheets, which is going to provide us a breakdown of what everything is. And then one of the things I thought was kind of cool with the original beginner's box, which is also carrying over to Secrets of the Unlit Star, is the color-coded dice. So if it's like a D8, okay, well, you're grabbing the orange die, the D20's the red die. So dig that, like that quite a bit. So we've got Lem, we have Sione, Amiri, and Sejan. So these are the new character classes included in this beginner box. Because previously we had the fighter, the cleric, and so forth. You know, your standards, your rogue. All right. So then we have got the Hero's Handbook. And I will tell you right now, that is a very nice soft cover book. Not what I was expecting. I was expecting more along the lines of a booklet, but no, that is a standard soft cover, like we used to see the adventure paths, the various chapters of the adventure paths. So we have got the Hero's Handbook. It's going to include a solo adventure. It's also going to give us information about getting started, creating your hero, skills, playing the game, leveling up. Here we've got our credits. So let's take a second here to take a peek at the credits page, because a lot of folks worked very hard to bring this to life. So let's give credit where credit is due. And then we're going to jump on in. And our introductory solo adventure has a create your own adventure feel to it. So we're going to have different entries. And then depending on what your actions are, you're going to go to other entry numbers. And of course, probably a couple of combat encounters in here. Next up, we'll get an example of play. Then we're going to get into getting started, talking about our dice rolling, also our action economy, because every player character gets 3 actions that they can utilize in their turn, as well as a reaction. Then we've got our heritages, or ancestries, I should say. Got our dwarves, elves, halflings, humans, orcs. Our backgrounds, such as acolytes, entertainer, noble, warrior. Then we're going to get into our classes. So we've got our barbarian. Rage consumes you in battle. You delight in wreaking havoc and using powerful weapons to carve through your enemies, relying on astonishing durability without needing complicated techniques or rigid training. And it's going to give us the info up to 3rd level. Next up, we'll have the Bard. You are a master of artistry, a scholar of hidden secrets, and a captivating persuader. Using powerful performances, you influence minds and elevate souls to new levels of heroics. And then we've got actually a few pages devoted to the bard. Are we getting our spells here? Is that what it? Yep, that's exactly why. Then we got our monk. The strength of your fists flows from your mind and spirit. You seek perfection, honing your body into a flawless instrument and your mind into an orderly bastion of wisdom. You're a fierce combatant renowned for martial arts skills and combat stances. So you're going to get information about the various different feats, the features. And we got our sorcerer. You didn't choose to become a spellcaster, you were born one. There's magic in your blood. Self reflection and study allow you to refine your inherent magical skills and unlock new, more powerful abilities. So we will have their spell lists as well. Yep, their cantrips, caustic blast, detect magic, shield, first rank spells, fear, fleet step, thunder strike. And then we've got our second level features and third level. And we'll also get some second rank sorcerer spells there. Getting into our equipment. I think we're going to get conditions next. I know, gear and finishing your hero. Then we'll get into skills, talking about skill checks and skill check DCs, overviews of skills. So as an example, we're getting a breakdown, say, of diplomacy, which is built off of charisma. Use diplomacy to influence others through negotiation and rhetoric, gathering information, making an impression, requesting something. So those are all examples of things that you would be doing with that skill. Then we're going to get more detailed information about those. You get different actions, say for thieves. Bit of information about exploration. And then we're going to get into some combat, talking about how to take your turn, what you can do in your turn. And of course, keep in mind, this is a beginner box. So this is not going to get into the kind of depth that you would find in the player core. Or of course, the next booklet we're going to take a look at would be the GM core that it's drawn from. But still, as you can see, quite a few pages. You're going to end up over 70. And that is a very solid amount of page space for the rules introduction for a starter set or beginner box in this case. So we've got that. Then we actually will have our character sheets. So these are our blank character sheets. Then we have our Game Master's Guide, which I'm actually going to save for last. Let's take a look at the other stuff in the box. So here's the flip mat, which Paizo Inc. has loads and loads of flip mats. You'd be hard pressed to have a situation or environment that there isn't a flip mat for. So this is dual sided. This happens to be upside down at the moment, but I don't think that's that big of a deal. Of course, this is no doubt tied into our adventure. So just kind of giving you an idea here. So it is 3 panels by 3 panels. So we've got that. Then we have got our pawns. And I'm sure those of you who follow the gaming gang and check out my reviews whenever I talk about the pawns, I love the artwork. I think it's very cool. The one thing that I wish Paizo Inc. would do would be to make these images just a little bit smaller so that the artwork does not get cut off. It's one of the things that kind of bums me out. So here we've got this Minotaur. That's fine, perfect. But as an example here, we've got a human male barbarian, and some of the artwork is cut off here. We've got a dwarf female barbarian. Their hammer is getting cut off. Kind of bums me out, but that's just how these pawns are made, and that's how they've always been made. So give you a peek at these. They are dual-sided, but they both have the same image, so there is no front and back. So here we've got the pre-gens right there and here. Then, of course, you're seeing some of the creatures. Usually, I have found that with the original beginner box that had pawns in it, we did get some extra pawns that were not creatures or NPCs that were in the adventure. So I thought that was very cool. So here we've got smaller halflings and smaller creatures here. Then we have action tokens. So each player is going to get 3 action tokens and a reaction token that they're going to be able to utilize. Very nice. Very cool. And then we'll wrap up with an advertisement for the Pathfinder Society. Very nice. And of course, many game stores and comic book stores do have the various different Pathfinder Society organized gameplay programs. So you might want to check those out too. All right. So final thing we're going to take a peek at is the Game Master's Guide. Once again, we'll take a peek at the credits. Here we've got the map, which we already know one of the sides of the flip mat represents. So anyway, here's our credits once again. So we are going to get a 34-page adventure. Then we're going to get information about game mastering, building adventures, environments, hazards, and then magic items. We get a little bit of a bestiary. Looks like we get some sorry seeds for Ustalav and Grace. Not sure if it's Grace or Gracie, to be honest. There is an adventure collection that is out for Grace as well. Probably sure a first look of that. I'm trying to remember if, I don't think Sammy's reviewed that yet, but she does have the PDF. So Sammy tends to review our Pathfinder releases, and then I tend to tackle most of the Starfinder, the new 2nd edition Starfinder. All right, so here's the premise of the adventure. Keep in mind, this is where you're going to see those spoilers. So I am going to kind of flip on through here. As far as beginner boxes, starter sets, the first adventure usually walks the game master through the process. So here we've got these little boxes here. So this is going to talk about experience points, the combat guide, we've got our stat block for the magnetic skinks. So, of course, the map is keyed. The butterfly fights. A pair of forest butterflies have taken to resting in this chamber, building a nest among the debris. The butterflies spend most of their time hanging from the ceiling and fly down to fend off any intruders to the room. When the heroes enter, the butterflies unleash a metallic screech to try to scare them away. If that doesn't work, the butterflies fly down to attack the heroes. They don't chase the heroes out of the room, but they will otherwise fight to the death to defend their nest. So it looks like the Unlit Star is a magic item. And of course, seeing that you're going to have low-level characters in this adventure, obviously enough, you're going to be taking on some lower-level adversaries here. I wouldn't be shocked if there's an opportunity to level up in this adventure. I don't think in 36 pages there's going to be enough in here to level up a couple of times. So it looks like we've got 2 floors and then a rooftop that this adventure takes place on. And there's our big bad. There's the baddie that the player characters are looking to take on. Then we're going to get into some game mastering information. I got to say, this is really cool because a lot of times in starter sets or beginner boxes, we get kind of a slimmed down rule book, and then we'll get an adventure book. But those adventure books normally don't have this additional content, like building adventures, giving you a background of a region, with a little bit of a gazetteer maybe. Don't normally see that. So here, as an example, this is a section about different terrains. And probably aimed at the exploration portion. Then we get into our hazards. So various different traps and such. Then we get into magic items. And then we get into our bestiary. So some information about how to read these stat blocks. And then looks like we probably have a few pages devoted to these. Yeah, very nice. Like that giant fly. Yeah, quite a bit. Like I said, with the first of the beginner boxes, I seem to recall that there were a good number of entries that were in addition to what was in the adventure. And then here is some info about Ustalav, which is a land known for the terrors that haunt it. Whispers outside its borders speak of a nation where monsters roam free, the dead rise to feed upon the living, and every citizen holds their share of dark and mysterious secrets. So I should point out, at this point in time, the Hellfire Crisis is the kind of current ongoing campaign. And then I think there's going to be kind of a aim at some kind of fantasy horror. That's why we're getting the information about Ustalav there. And then the town of Grace, or Gracie. I think it's probably Grace. It's an old town on the southern border of Ustalav, right across the Path River from what is now known as the Gravelands. Dun, dun, dun. And of course, this is Game Master information, not player information. Then we'll get a bit of a reference here with experience points, difficulty classes, identifying creatures, showing us the dice, the actions, and then a quick rules reference to wrap things up. So inside Pathfinder Beginner Box Secrets of the Unlit Star, we have got the pawns, we've got the Game Master's Guide, Hero's Handbook, we've got the player aids, got the flip mats, we've got both blank and pre-generated characters. Well, I should say blank character sheets and pre-generated characters. We've got our stands for the pawns. We've got a set of dice, and that is what we find when we take everything from Secrets of the Unlit Star outside the box. Once again, as I mentioned, Sammy has reviewed this beginner box. Keep in mind, it was the PDF, and I think her final review score reflected her issues that she had with the PDFs as far as her layout, not necessarily as far as the content in the material that was found within. She liked that quite a lot. So please keep that in mind. All right, let's swing back over to the other camera because that is it for this time out. If you dig the Gaming Gang and would like to support the outlet, you can do so in a few ways. You can utilize our affiliate links to the One Bookshelf sites, such as Drive-Thru RPG, and to do so, simply visit thegaminggang.com, click on one of our banners. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get 5% of most of those sales as a commission. And all those commissions really do add up, help keep thegaminggang.com around. You can also make a one-time donation by way of PayPal and become a monthly member of our Patreon. You'll find links in the show notes. Also in those show notes, you'll find an invite link to our Discord server. It's absolutely free to sign up, so be sure to hang with the gang over on Discord. And of course, if you like the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell. And if you ring the bell, please select all notifications because YouTube is supposed to not only let you know when I share videos such as this unboxing and first look, it's also supposed to inform you when my live stream, the Gaming Gang Dispatch, airs Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. right here on YouTube. Of course, when you're not watching videos here on the channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are never going to find here on YouTube, such as Sammy's review of this beginner box. All right, thank you very much for watching. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer, and until I see you next time, I certainly hope all of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.